please see the link in this episode's description for a trailer for an element of pugilism. And there is a Z-Fest like contest going on. So do with that as you will. I'm a libertarian. I want you to choose what you want to choose.
No, I mean, don't you want people to like us? That's the whole point of it.
I want people to like us for us, not because they feel like...
Because we told them to?
Yeah, we're informing them.
Sure.
And then they can make their own decision.
Well, please click the link and click like.
Thank you.
You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show. Hello and welcome to Movie Beaters with the Farx Brothers. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Kyle.
And for this segment, we are doing non-spoilers for Speak No Evil, both versions 2022 and 2024. And we are here with Chelsey Grant.
Who
is an actor.
Hi, again.
See, this will be the first thing they hear because we released this part
I know,
first.
but I said hi twice.
That's okay.
Oh, damn it. You know what?
Hi and hi again.
You are a
Nice.
improv background and writer person.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
listen to the interview for more on Chelsey.
I'm always trying to spoil for other segments in these types of things. I saw this damn trailer too many gosh darn times in 2024. How often do you go to the movies, if you don't mind me asking?
Not enough.
Okay, do you go more than twice a year? The average person goes twice a year to the movies.
Yes.
Okay, do you go more than once a month?
No, but I'm trying to make it a goal this year. No. So I'm going to Mickey 17 tomorrow, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm really excited about it. Don't spoil.
No,
I
love
It
this.
was all a dream, yeah.
Oh my God. My whole being got so angry at you, Kirk. I was like, no.
Should have seen the Kirk smirk.
Yeah.
Bring back the Kirk smirk, hashtag.
Yeah, it's because he was being a little shit, and that's exactly why it came out.
Now. All right.
Well, you said if you would have spoiled Mickey 17 for me, I would have been.
No,
You'd be on my shit list, Kirk.
The series that came out before your series is on comparing Bong Joon-ho's American or English language movies, Snowpiercer and Okja.
Okay.
Are you familiar?
No. But also, I like to make fun of myself because I am absolutely that theater kid that did so many dance classes and theater classes and all the things that I didn't ever watch TVs or movies.
This is a recurring theme with actresses. What is this?
Wait, really?
Yes. Gael said the same thing. Alex said the same thing.
Oh.
And yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah, no, it's just, God, I was such a nerd and I never thought I'd be in that world. Now, I still watched TVs and movies and all those like TV shows and movies and stuff, but I just, it's like the ongoing joke. So, to prepare for a role, I watched Speak No Evil. I was asking the writer-director saying, hey, what were your inspirations? What do you want us to be aware of when we shoot this movie? And that's why I watched it.
did this person, we're not going to spoil the movie in this section, but...
We're totally not. Can you imagine? You just have to go beep because I just say the whole entire plot.
What did this person tell you before you saw 2022's Speak No Evil? Did they pre-warn you of anything at all? Like you're going to not feel good at the end or maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
So we knew this particular found footage that I was working on that was the completely improv movie with the skeleton base. We were given a list of a few things. One of them was being Speak No Evil, and that was before the 2024 one came out when I shot that. So that was the one we watched, the Dutch version. And then I was also given Creep and Creep 2, which are, found footage and very much testing your limit and boundary as an audience member, because you constantly question, what would I do in that scenario? What would I do in that scenario? And that's very much what we wanted to elicit. So that was why that was added to the list. Now, did my scene partner, Brian, finish the movie? No. He stopped it at a certain point. I watched the whole thing. And that's not to get an award or anything. It's just that, if you know why you might stop it.
What percentage of the way through did he stop?
When his parental gut kicked in.
Oh, he's a parent?
Yep. He's got a few kids. Yeah. Yeah. So that was why. So I don't actually know how far, but I mean, I could look at my creepy chicken scratch notes that are look like hieroglyphics, and I literally put minute marks when boundaries are to be pushed. And I'm such a nerd. But yeah, so,
You won't be able to have the bait then on if this trailer got shown. Kirk, can you either validate or bait me on if this trailer played a bunch before movies for...
Oh, it did.
Yeah, for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
Kirk and I go to the movies probably once or twice, sometimes 3 times a week because we have a subscription.
Yeah, we don't want free advertisement.
No,
so we're not going to say the name. Yeah.
That's
Adam
cute,
Aaron,
though.
you know where to find me.
Oh my gosh,
we're
that's
brothers,
adorable.
so yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you brothers
hands.
that share a subscription, watch movies together, and hold hands.
We don't share the subscription, but
It's a family subscription, isn't it?
No, there's like a way to connect your subscriptions once you're...
Yeah, I can't say either, right? Because that would give it away.
That's giving away their IP, and they need to sponsor.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, they actually, I will send you a thing because they're coming out with a 1 per week for $10 a month program. Wow. So if you saw 4 movies a month, that'd be $2.50 a movie, and the tickets now are at least $5 to $7, if not way more.
Yeah, especially depending on like what theater you're going to, how fancy the screen you want, what seats, Yeah.
So Kirk, did this trailer play too much last year in the season before it came out?
Yeah, I think it did for sure. I think it gave a little bit too much away too. Also, I didn't know it was a remake, so I kind of went in kind of blind, not expecting that much.
I will argue in favor of the trailer then, and Chelsey, you'll be able to follow this, because imagine you had just seen the version you've seen, and then you see this trailer and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to do that? And then obviously, I don't think it's a spoiler to say the 2 movies are obviously different.
Yeah.
But I won't say how in this section. Okay, I've got to do you have any follow-on?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, yeah.
Kirk says no.
Yeah, I mean, how much should we debate a trailer? Showing too much, showing too little?
What should a trailer show? How do you feel about trailers, Chelsey? Is there good trailers? Is there a trailer that's pissed you off that gave up too much away?
Like I don't know where I heard it, but I heard somewhere that they say for comedies they should put their best joke in the trailer.
Yeah.
And that always made me sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like I have any sort of say. I'm just an audience member like everybody else. Like, who freaking cares? But I'm always like, oh no, but the build-up, the payoff, the whatever. Why are they just giving it to me for this little anecdote for free in the trailer,
Crazy.
I've got a bait to that, but go ahead.
I don't know. Maybe I'm weird in the fact that I just usually prefer to go in really, really blind.
Oh, yeah,
you're
unsullied.
Yeah. I don't want to. Yes, unsullied. Sure.
Unsullied?
Okay.
Doesn't that mean something else though?
In Game of Thrones, yeah.
Oh, what does it actually mean?
Oh, it means messed up.
Oh,
unmessed up.
Unmessed up.
Dictionary.com.
In Game of Thrones, they've been castrated.
Yeah.
Oh, I have seen that, but I just think maybe I blacked it all out.
No, that's fine. I get that, and
Because
I mean
how
it's not
terrible
out of
it was.
What?
Pardon?
Because how terrible it was, or
he means at the end. He didn't mean all the way
sure.
through.
Yeah. No, I did make it. I did make it all the way through, but I watched that a long time ago. I feel like.
Well, the end in 2019, we're like 5 years on from an ending. I don't know. I just thought that kind of pushed boundaries in a way. Like my mom watched that, and I can't imagine so there's a bunch of castrated soldiers, Mom. You're really gonna like the show.
Yeah, but they never show that part.
They don't show the castrated.
Yeah, they're just known as castrated soldiers.
No, they did show someone getting castrated. Now that I think about it, and I mean, how far is that in tone from this movie? Both of them, when you think about it. Not far enough.
Yeah, true.
So the bait I've got for you on comedy movies putting the best joke in the trailer. If it's not a very good movie, yes, that would make the movie not as good because, they said, no. But I'll use Bottoms as an example. That trailer was hilarious. Bottoms, have you seen it?
No.
Okay, so you could go watch the trailer tonight. It's about 2 losers in high school who are girls, and they start a fight club so they can doink some cheerleaders. Like they are lesbians or bisexuals. I don't get into that. That's their business. But this is
they like ladies.
They are ladies who like ladies in high school, and they start a fight club to doink cheerleaders.
That's hilarious.
That's the premise of the movie. The trailer is funny. It gets that across, and it's funnier in the movie because things build on themselves in this comedy. So I think you can watch it on Jeff Bezos' streaming service, if it's still there. So.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yes,
yes.
Nice.
Putting it out there.
Great workaround, Cal.
Yeah,
I was going to say there is one trailer that made me a little sad.
Oh, good.
Recently.
Okay. I mean, I'm not happy you were sad. I'm happy you have an example.
No, you're thriving off the fact that I was crying about that trailer.
I'm a bully.
No, and it was actually when I would have seen a Speak No Evil 2024 trailer in the theaters. But I saw Joker with a handful of film friends, the new one.
Oh.
And the trailer, if you look into it, actually, the trailer had a part where Gaga kissed a photojournalist or a journalist, someone with the news, in one of the scenes, it looked like, and it didn't make the cut of the movie.
Or like when they walked down the stairs together.
Right. Some of these massive moments that were, either really cinematic or very like potentially controversial or just interesting. And so I felt awful that I felt bad because I know how much time and money and everything goes into those huge movies, but I was like waiting. I was waiting to figure out the character build or what elicited that, cinematic choice or that physical character move. But it's interesting, if you do watch some of the interviews, both the actors don't seem the happiest with the edit. And they're pretty unapologetic about it.
I prefer Tim Dillon, star of that movie's take on the movie, which I'm not going to reiterate here.
Okay.
He's the guard who asks him to sign the book, and he says, when they fry you, this is going to be worth a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
He's a right-wing stand-up comedian. That's all I'll say about him. I have an example of something that changed in a trailer. Like, clearly they cut that part out, but of the movie or chose, like, something changed.
Sure.
And
yeah, and that happens.
We're all filmmakers. We accept that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just released a trailer where the guy who edited it didn't have the color-corrected footage, and I don't think he had the final sound. And I don't care, because the point of the trailer is just to get likes on Facebook right now.
Yeah, it's to just get things out there. I just was, just personally as an actor, I was a nerd and I was excited to be like, what moment is that going to happen? And then it just didn't. So, and then all of a sudden at the end, I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't Gaga kiss the lady? And so then I just went home crying,
I just listened to Reign of Marvel, and this is when I'm a geek.
Oh my gosh,
Nerd.
Hey, it's not just me.
Yes. You see the Hulk in a trailer running with everyone in Wakanda, but then in the actual movie, it's the Bruce Banner and a Hulkbuster. And the reason that changed is because Marvel re-edits and rewrites their movies so late in the process that they released a trailer where it was going to be the Hulk, but then they changed the arc, which will relate to our interview segment when we talked about arcing. And to get Bruce Banner a specific arc in Infinity War, they changed it from he could turn into the Hulk to
my question is, was there a moment in the trailer that didn't show up in Speak No Evil?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, everything in the trailer was in the movie, for sure.
Definitely, and I think because people would have been looking for it, because those that knew are looking for specific beats, and those that don't know are like, why are they telling me everything that's going to happen in this movie?
Right. Yeah, I definitely don't think I watched the trailer for the 2022 one.
Yeah.
I just went in.
Yeah. Do you think the premise is too out there? I would never, visit somebody that I met on vacation. I don't even want to be that close with people when I'm...
Oh, gosh. I have friends overseas that I met studying.
So this is not out of
I mean, also technically, we're filmmakers. We kind of hang out with people we don't really know on set either, too.
For a lot of
weeks,
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, can I crash at your house? I'm shooting a movie in this city. I know that happens a lot. In this particular case, or personally, even when I go, the only time I actually stayed with somebody was after talking for a year with my partner that I had long distance for 4.5 years over there. So then his friends then became my friends, but then I was with him at the time. And so that was, took a bit of time to make sure I knew before I was hanging out in random, couches or people's flats in the UK. But now, going back, 4 years ago, I met a lot of people at a horror film festival that I'm very close to now. And when I visited last spring, they all offered their flats, which is so sweet and kind of them, but I'd still only met them a handful of times at this festival. And now I'd go back, I went to dinner at one of their homes and stuff like that, with only meeting them at the after party networking, filmmaker bar.
My mind just went to how you could screw with somebody that, like, oh, you just put it in the food, they knocked out.
They're done.
That relates to, something in one of these movies. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. That's why I said, like, I really enjoyed both for the reason of making you ask yourself as an audience member, what would I do in this situation? And I don't think a lot of movies do it as viscerally to me as the 2022 one, but to some people in general, I mean, maybe these aren't their type of movies. And you still ask yourself that question, I think, through at least half the movie, at least 3/4 the movie, and then there's some people that will not want to finish. Some people wouldn't want to finish either movie if it's just genuinely not their thing. But I'm a psychological thriller fan and horror and drama especially. So these were interesting plots to follow through with and watch. But I don't know. It's an interesting plot to step through.
I'm an America fuck yeah kind of folk, and I like that the Americans approach it in a nuanced shade differently, and if the outcomes are different, I believe that is why, is because America fuck yeah. And again, I don't want to, at a certain point, wouldn't you protest and wouldn't you fight back? And we'll save more of this for spoilers, but I found it harder to relate to the Danish folks in the Danish version of the movie who were dealing with the Dutch, because it's the people they're going to visit are Dutch, and I guess this is where it gets into, like, kind of how in your interview you talk about the difference between different parts of England and the accents and how people from there can tell. And I've seen enough movies now like, oh, that person's poor because of their accent.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
But classism is rampant there too, just as much as it is in pockets of other places here and stuff like that too. But
let's pivot then to, instead of being nation state baiting, what do you think, and I'm going to pitch it to Kirk while you get to form your answer, because I'm being polite to you.
Many thanks, good sir.
Yes. Socioeconomically, what is the movie saying?
I think both families are well off in each version, so I don't think it's saying that much about it. I don't think so.
Okay, I'll bet you. The interpretation could be that because there is a complacency that comes to modernity, and if you're of the upper middle class, because you let us. That's a line in the movie.
So are you saying because you're higher class, you let more things go? Is that the kind of thing then?
There's more manners-based things. Like, I see Chelsey now has formed her thoughts on socioeconomics, so I pivot back to you.
Yeah, I was just looking at my note that why are you doing this? Because you let me. Gosh, so powerful to think of that concept. It is interesting because I believe in both. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because is this supposed to be minimal spoilers?
Obviously,
he claims pretty quickly he's a doctor.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the Patty character is a doctor.
Right.
Oh, that's a spoiler.
Beep, 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 beep.
No, I don't.
Beep, Kirk, no, I'm sorry.
I think you would figure that out watching the trailer.
Right. In non-spoil version, immediately I spoil. But,
worse than mine.
It's explained as because they're afraid of people judging them. So he just says, they just do that because and then he proclaims right after, I don't have a job. So, I mean, there is a bit of a challenge there of how much do you just believe people for what they say or proclaim themselves as? Do you believe that? Or, also, do you blankly just believe that? Which, for the most part, people usually just, that's a silly thing to lie about. But, it all attributes to the underlying, I think, pull to the story, which is how long until you crack? How long until you take away the guise of politeness, trusting your gut, what is, social norm?
Two angles there. Here's why America better than Europe. Sorry, Europe. In America, striving isn't looked down upon, because if you strive, you could get economic benefit, and therefore it's worth doing. Whereas Europe's economy is not going to be trading at the level that it is probably in 30 years, or definitely in 60 years, because we talked about last week in relation to South Korea and other Western societies, they're not having replacement rate births. Like every couple isn't having 2 children or more. So they're slowly dying out. And, Europe used to be a power center, but then World War II decimates it. We go to the unipolar moment where America is more in power, and now we're kind of going back to a multipolar society. But I think that's kind of why Europeans don't fight back and are more accepting, is because their continent is dying out. And I hope your European friends hear this and comment on why I'm a conceited American. And if you can think of any of their arguments, debate me. That would be, I've got another crazy angle on
my
this.
argument is that people in America hate billionaires. I don't know if people actually like people who are successful, right? They kind of resent people for being too successful.
Small business folks, like Chelsey, for example, I'm gonna gas you up a little bit here. You clearly strive and work on your career as an actor, and you're able to support yourself between acting commercially and in narrative, and you clearly have all these I think I've never heard a negative word about you, and I assume that is because you, as your own small business and a striver, are seen, both you are successful and people would say, yeah, you want that to be the case. Whereas in Europe, there's more of a class system, there's more of a heritage system. We still have problems with nepotism here, but it's different in Europe. That's my argument.
Yeah, I was surrounded by artists in the UK as well as people that were working in financial district. And I just think
rich folks.
Even if they were working up towards it, but yeah, working for large financial corporations and the ones that would be, the ones that work in Canary Wharf, the ones which is in Inception, the really cool parts of all the modernized looking stuff. It's what their crazy business district that is just sterile, and people work until it's 5 o'clock, and then everyone goes for their pint and the dynamic changes. But even so, there's just a lot of the balance in Europe in general of work and play, work and life is, you ask people, oh, what do you do there? And they kind of give you a look like, what do you mean? Like, what do I like to do? But we ask that all the time here because we attribute a lot of success towards what you do as a profession. They talk about do and really they actually will look down on you, even in some of the larger corporations. They'll be like, "Hey, you didn't use your vacation. What are you doing?" Mm-hmm. That is just they just prioritize things very differently there, which can be very appealing. I think sometimes when you maybe are surrounded by a lot of people, myself included, who I grind away and I love my job, but God, there's some times where I go, "Oh my gosh, I need to sleep," or I need to breathe and do nothing for a bit. But there is such a mentality here, I think, in the States of you are worth what you do and churn out. And a lot of it's so funny. All the actor friends that have done phenomenal shows on the BBC and incredibly successful actors, they laughed at me when I said I was taking an acting class while I was there. I actually said I was taking 2, and they were like, why? And they were being really charming and polite and fun about it, but they were like, why? Isn't this your vacation? I'm like, yeah, but I love my job. And I'm like, I'm actually filming some stuff here. They're like, are you just going to come here and just not do any of that? I'm like, no, I always travel and work. I like to try to do that, and especially in that space. But to them, it's just very normal to carve that out, So I'm not well versed or, in any sort of political climate of understanding that sort of, verbiage or up to date on any of that stuff. But I do kind of understand some of the different classes from my minimal time being there with some different folks, that it's just in general, even on the higher end of finance, it's just a very different perspective of and way of living life. But we attribute, I think, so much of worth to how much you work and make. Not always. That's very much boiled down. But I think in comparison to when I'm there, for sure.
One of my shittiest jobs had me take white-collar jobs, One of the white-collar jobs I had that, while I am thankful for, I don't think was a healthy culture or environment, made me take a class that I thought was very good called Dale Carnegie. And they talk about having a wheel. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about this before, Kirk, but you have spokes on the wheel, like your career, your family, your mental health, your interests. You sound like mostly a healthy person. I don't know, bait me on that if you really want.
That's hilarious. You sound like mostly a healthy person.
Well, based on the interview that we've already done but are going to release after this, you seem to have a good sense of self, which I think comes from being able to balance things in your life. And I think if I were to attribute a counter bait to my initial bait of America, fuck yeah, you're like, yeah, but they're more balanced. That's, I think, the counter bait.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it still switches obviously immensely from country to country.
Yeah.
But it's funny how you can hear a British person talk about the people that live in Portugal and how they work and play and live versus Barcelona and they'll talk about that because they go on their holidays and maybe they've done some work in those other countries and just the work and life climate is more similar over there where it's got a different perspective than we do here, but it's still massively different, which is, I don't know, I'm so sheltered just being here. I don't genuinely know it deeply enough, but I think it's really intriguing.
Well, that's the point of the 2022 movie is that the Danish and the Dutch, and that's how I realized I'm racist against whites because I can't tell them apart.
No, you're racist against Irish.
What?
You hate the Irish.
Yeah, I can tell Irish because I can't stand the Irish. My adopted father is Irish. Are you Irish? I wish you weren't. No, I'm sorry.
Oh no, we had to get at least one dad joke in there. Yeah. No, I've got a friend who's Northern Irish, and she's. I'm sorry, but have you ever just opened your mouth and sung a song? That's what the Irish people do.
Sing all the time.
They're like so. Melodic, like they're
melodic, yeah.
Melodic.
Oh yeah, you were doing it. Sorry, I wasn't correcting you. I was like,
no, they probably say melodic. Yeah, I don't know. There's such a sing-song way, even when they're angry, which is awful to say. But no, I mean, I just enjoy accents and dialects.
You're a playwright. Do you like Martin McDonagh? Is that his name? The guy who wrote and directed 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, 7 Psychopaths. That's not helping you probably. He was a playwright before he became an Academy Award winning director.
Right.
And he's from Ireland. And I was.
I definitely know I've read one of his, and it's just like escaping my brain. But yes, I do know of him. But my brain is escaping as to which play I think that was probably a college me study.
Sure. I'm going to try to piss off my brother before the end of this segment.
Well, I mean, I have another.
Oh, you have a bait?
Yeah, argument. Like,
give me.
But even if he's rich, they tell him. He tells them that he's a doctor, but then to get them to trust him even more, he says, "Oh, but." It was too much, and now I work for a nonprofit. I think.
Which one?
The 2024 one. With
That's why.
Yeah, that's why they trust him more because now Now it's not about the money.
Yeah. There's a lot of money baiting though in the 2024 one versus the motive in the 2022.
Money baiting?
Yeah, I feel like plot-wise, if you lay out both of them without giving many spoilers away, motive is explained through financial gain in the 2024.
Oh, yeah, that is...
2022? Fuck no.
Yeah, it's the nihilism of evil.
Yeah. And so that's also the part that's slightly America about the 2024 version, where you could boil it down to that potentially just because of our work relationship that we tend to associate with Americans. But I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, the 2022 version, rewatching that today, that's none of it. The only thing that would be slightly attributed to that would be the fact that he claims to be a doctor, which then people think, ooh, must make lots of money.
Status still all over the world.
Exactly. But I don't know. I always think it's funny when people think doctors have a lot of money because I'm like, also student loans, y'all? Do you forget that they have to go through those forever?
Sure.
Depending on which type of doctor they are as well. Yeah. But anyways, I'm
private
digressing.
Practice, baby. Private practice, specialized. We shouldn't look at the body as a whole. We should divide it into pieces. That'll definitely be better.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also about you're a doctor. You help people. So obviously, if you trust it, you help people all the time.
You avoid getting sued to do things that you get to charge the insurance company for. You don't understand being a doctor in the United States, my friend. Sorry.
They're not in charge of that, though, right?
Yeah, the doctor is aware of what they are going to be able to charge your insurance for, and then they have to worry about when they do a procedure, are they going to get sued? And then Chelsey has astutely brought up the loans thing, unless they start off wealthy.
Yeah.
I do think it is healthy for the United States to view the world through the prism of money, because that would lead to less we have to kill them because they're evil kind of thing. Like, no, let's just do business with them. Like, even America's favorite movie, Die Hard, which is not a Christmas movie because it came out in the summer. They try to make you think Hans Gruber is a terrorist, but ultimately he's just in it for the money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think you'll all agree with me that America's better if it's in it for the money. No. That's gonna be terrible. I got a different bait for you.
That's a perfect quote to just title this episode.
The America's in it for the money.
Yeah.
We'll put that toward the top of something that we read.
Oh, God.
I might. So the other thing is that because you let us, then the title of the movie, Speak No Evil. This is what I think the evil of being complacent in the upper middle class, like being, I'm going to associate this, and I'm trying to bait him into baiting me, BAIT into BATE. Sorry, I could not help myself. I think that being politically correct is something that leads to the downfall in both these movies, and political correctness is being shown as being bad. And thank you, the guest, for nodding along with me, because you don't accept that.
Is there political correctness in this movie?
Yes.
I didn't see it. What part of it were they being politically correct?
It doesn't have to necessarily relate directly to politics.
Yeah, no.
Correct. Politically correct. Sorry, you go first.
No, I mean, go ahead. I mean, I think it's just the base line of what society believes is what you should do, right?
Is what being politically correct is. And they even say, I worked with, and I can't remember which country it is, and he was the most politically correct guy, and I didn't like him in the 2022 version. Early on when they're at the Italian, because in both movies they go to Italy. So at that point, they're talking about another country, and they talk about that country as being politically correct. Now, obviously, we have a political correctness in our country, and that's associated maybe differently in a partisan divide. Obviously, Kirk would not like me to go down that direction, so I won't. But I'm just implying that maybe over-investing in that is this. Both movies are saying is not wise in the long run.
Yeah, but are you talking about the actual literal political sense, or are you talking about the right thing that people should do in that moment?
Politics is downstream from culture, and in both cases, the 2022 and 2024, we're talking about cultural artifacts in movies.
Cultural artifacts in movies?
You looked at him, Chelsey, and you're like, you ready for this?
No, I mean, I boil it down as such like a stupid actor thing. At least I'm calling myself one. Just like
don't
trust
use
your
the
gut.
S word.
The S word actor. Just trusting your gut.
Stupid. That's what we call it in
Yes,
this house.
yes.
Oh, okay,
S word. It was the S word at my house when I was growing up was school. Because when it was summer, you weren't allowed to say the word school.
Oh, when it's one S word, you're not allowed to say the other S word?
Yeah, you had to enjoy the summer and not say you were going back to school.
At 3 and 5, my children pretend they don't like school, but they love it.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's powerful to be defiant, isn't it? It can be that way.
That's why I tried not to be politically correct.
Yeah, but yeah.
Maybe I don't know, because I don't define it as politically correct. I think they're just a couple is being very aggressive about it. They're pushing boundaries for sure. And I think the other couple lets it slide because they don't. It's more like politeness. I don't know if it's anything politically correct. May have to look up the word to actually find the definition, but I don't.
Yeah, I think we just said it, like if we're gonna, I think you mentioned if we were gonna say political correctness, we're also kind of using slightly interchangeably for what societal norms are, right?
Correct.
Depending on where
agree.
you are. So if they're pushing the boundaries of political correctness, it means, I will not speak up because I don't want to hurt their feelings if maybe this is how their culture is versus us. Or maybe their intention was pure and I'm just looking at them like they're a bad person even though it might just be how I perceive it. Or, I have an icky feeling in my gut, but I'm just going to let it slide because it's easier to not speak up and just see if it can be chill an hour from now and I'll just forget about it, which is obviously what this thing, is goading the whole way.
I have a final bait before we move into the spoiler section. But when you just mentioned that, it made me think of neither of you are watching White Lotus this season, right?
No.
I'm dating I'm dating the bait by the last episode last Sunday was, and this is how I'm going to bring it into American societal norms. A group of women who are very wealthy to be going to a White Lotus, and that's the conceit of the show. These are very wealthy people you're seeing on vacation for a week. This friend group of women gets mad at one of the other in the friend group because she moved to Texas and now she's around a certain partisan. She's crossed a partisan line, and the other two hold that against her. And I'm very much enjoying that on White Lotus this season and how that's developing.
Just the how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you be on this side or that side, and having either direction of that, I think is bad because the only way America falls is dividing against itself. America, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
the
so
bait,
silly.
Wait, the song or just the idea of?
All of it.
Thank you.
It's just silly.
What is this a thriller or a horror? You have to pick a side, and you have to argue why the other one's wrong. I'll pick first if you want. I thought one of you
That's
picked.
good question.
Chelsey go first.
Pardon?
I was gonna let you go first.
Isn't that so nice of you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kirk.
You need to smirk.
PC
I know.
about
Bring
me.
back Kirk smirk. Hashtag bring back Kirk smirk.
Hashtag bring back the Kirk smirk. I'm a little shit. I'm gonna go for thriller.
And you're gonna argue that it's not a horror. Cool. And you're kind
If
of
you
a
have
scream
to choose
queen.
sides,
Yeah, you
you
ever did that
force
whole
my hand.
debate
partisan
show.
thing before this? I was building up to that question to end this part on.
So I'll fight to the death for thriller. Sure.
It's a horror because of the violence was going to be my argument.
Oh, sure.
Don't know. You're on a bait show. You told me we don't
Fight.
debate about it.
No, I'm just. Can I not appreciate your opinion by acknowledging it?
I think it's good to bait people you respect.
Yeah.
So you want me to just fight to the death because I can?
I enjoy that because
You picked the wrong person to bring on this podcast.
I'll bait you on the conceit of the show. The reason it's good to have multiple opinions on a movie is because that makes movies stickier and more important in culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I am in the business of wanting movies to maintain their cultural prowess.
Sure, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that when you start saying your reasoning for that doesn't mean I can't think about it, appreciate it, enjoy it, say oh about it. You were so offended that I decided to take anything out of your mouth as something that I should take at all to my brain and appreciate in any way.
My mouth hole.
Your mouth hole, pardon. I'm so sorry. That was really rude of me for not saying both parts of that. It's like a little dashed word, mouth hole. But yeah, I get that. I mean, to me, I think I lean thriller. I understand the horror element, but I lean thriller because, you know what? Maybe I'd say the 2024 version is thriller and the 2022 is horror.
Wow, both ways, yeah.
Okay, so the American one is a thriller and the European one is a horror.
Yeah.
And okay, so you've divided the argument, which I appreciate. And now I've got to pivot back and say why the 2022 is a thriller.
Yeah, I just want to fuck shit up.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. That one's a thriller because it's more akin to a comedy of manners than the actual horrors of anything. Whereas in America, the horror of a cultural difference between us and like Europeans, they not like us, you know.
Well, aren't they both American in the American version, or are they?
They're Americans who live in London in the American version, and then they're Danish in the Danish version who are visiting Dutch. How did you feel about my So the question on the floor to the opposing party is, what makes something horrific, and why is the 2022 one horrific? And you can say because of the ending without spoiling it. I think
Because the ending, though.
Well, I mean, they're British.
Oh, they're British versus
it's
American.
horror because it's British. They're more British in one. No, no. I guess the level of grotesqueness, right? But I don't know, because I don't know. I guess I don't have the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of both, but I don't know. I feel like thriller has a certain psychological build, right?
Yeah.
And they both have that. But on this podcast, we're only allowed to choose one.
An argument in your favor for 2022 is
help me out.
an extreme violent act is
Yes.
depicted in that one versus the 2024. So as soon as you divided the argument that way, I was pretty pissed because
Well, I mean, in the 2024, you kind of try to figure out what's going on with the kid, right? Mm-hmm. I think in 2022, you're trying to figure out what's wrong with the adults in some ways, because the kid doesn't do that much in the 2022 version.
Oh, kids are just weird. But sorry.
Yeah.
So true. Why I love them. No filter,
and
weirdness.
why you're good with them.
Yeah, because I just turn into one. But I think that's also a huge difference between the two as well, is 2022 has money motive versus 2024, as well as the kid arc, the children, both of the children arc in both movies. They're more delved into in the 2024 version. And there's also a lot more vindication, a lot more of the potential resolved feelings in the 2024 version related to, stick it to the man, hero, heroine type vibe, relating to the weakest party, which would be the children. In the 2022 version, it's like every man for himself. You're not giving a complete hero arc to any of the, unless you're following, one of the parents, a set of parents that you decide you want to take their side. Interesting, but yes.
See, that's it's not a horror, it's a drama.
Tis a drama. Yeah, bring it back to that.
Sorry. Should we kind of move into spoiler? Because I think we're right on the edge, and I want to talk about. I'm not going to say what I want to talk about because it's a big spoiler, and I want to start there.
Yeah, he looks scarily giddy about it. Look at him. Right. Yeah, we both said it. He's just a giddy man sitting there in his chair, ready to talk about some spoiler plot stuff.
So let's hop right into spoilers. Thank you for listening to our non-spoilers segment.
Section or segment?
It's segment.
Both of it.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, Kyle. Thank you for listening. For more on JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.